Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon to all our grantees out there. My name is Christy Johnson, and this is the SAMHSA Native Connections Grantee webinar. Along with the Native Connections team and our SAMHSA contracting officer representatives, Maureen Madison and Jan Dunbar Cooper, we extend a warm welcome to all of you. I want to welcome you all to the Native Connections Training and Technical Assistance Youth Empowerment and the Impact of Social Media webinar today. And just noted, I am your webinar moderator. My name is Christy Johnson, and I just wanted to remind you of a few housekeeping items to review. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording with all documents will be available on the Native Connections webinar in the near future. The web address will be shared later in today's presentation for your convenience. We want to make this experience as interactive as possible, so please feel free to use the chat box to communicate with the presenters and one another. Many of you have experience working in our communities, and we would like to share your knowledge that you believe will help our brothers and sisters throughout the communities. At the end of this webinar, there will be a question and answer session to allow time for presenters to answer any questions you may have for them. We will be happy to answer your questions by chat or email. Just note our emails at the end of this presentation. Next, allow me to introduce our team today. As noted, my name is Christy Johnson. I am from the Navajo Nation, and I'm currently residing in Washington, D.C. I am also a grantee technical assistant. I will be your moderator for the webinar today. As moderator, let me just introduce you to another feature you may use to interact with us today. Along the top panel, you will see three icons: a speaker, a phone, and a raised hand. You may use this feature to raise your hand and or communicate with the presenters. At this moment, please select the drop-down menu and choose applause for our presenters. You will notice a small icon next to your name. You can also ask presenters to slow down or speak up. Please raise your hand if you have a question or comment. I may engage with you in the chat box, or the speakers may call out to you. Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce our facilitator today, Chanel Ford. She is also a Native Connections Grantee Technical Assistant, and she's currently residing in California. I will allow her to formally introduce herself at this time. I will turn it over to Chanel. Chanel?
Hi, thank you, Christy. Hello, everybody. I hope your morning or afternoon, whichever it is going wonderful. Have a great Tuesday. I am, as Christy said, a Native Connections Grantee Technical Assistant. I am a Spokane tribal member from Walpenet, Washington on the Spokane Indian Reservation, and I will be helping facilitate this wonderful webinar that we are going to have today. Without further ado, I would actually like to have a wonderful gentleman named John Bird go ahead and John Bird is also a Native Connections Grantee Technical Assistant. I would love for him to open our webinar up today for us and just open us up in a good way. So, John, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me, Chanel?
Yes, I can hear you, John.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chanel, and welcome everybody to the Native Connections webinar. As Chanel said, my name is John Bird, and I'm one of the grantee technical assistants working on the project as well. I'm calling in today from the Oklahoma-Kansas Regional Native Connections meeting, where we have about 16 grantees have come together in the Oklahoma and Kansas region to talk about all the things that people need to talk about to make their Native Connections project successful. Engaging the communities and developing coalitions and advisory boards and doing training and all just all kind cultural strategies and policies and protocols for crisis response, all those really important things. And so I just want to say that the work that we do is really critical. As we know, there are getting to be more and more suicide completions in our communities, and so our work is really critical at this point. So I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you do, and I want to open the webinar up in a good way. I'm from the Blackfeet Nation in Montana, and the elders who taught me said that, you know, a song is the same as a prayer. So I'm going to open up with a song that always brings me comfort. It helps me to get centered. It helps me to connect to higher spiritual powers than myself. And so I really think that, you know, spirituality is a huge part of the work that we do. So I'm going to go ahead and just sing a couple verses of this song for you to open up the webinar. Ah, hey, ah, hey, hi, oh, hey, oh, 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 hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, ah, hey, hi, 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 oh, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Thank you, and have a wonderful webinar.
Great. Thank you, John, so much for that. Definitely opened us up in a good way, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to lend us that wonderful song and to really just kick off our awesome webinar we're about to have today. So now I would like to go ahead and introduce our guest presenter, Josie Rafaelito. I'm going to just kind of give you a brief little overview of her. Josie is German and Swedish, born from the Meadow People clan. Her maternal grandfather is from Ohio. Her paternal grandfather's clan is Saltwater Clan. This is how she is Dene and a citizen of the Navajo Nation. She is from the Roman Navajo Reservation in New Mexico and currently lives in Buffalo, New York. Josie holds a Master of Public Health and serves as an independent consultant supporting youth engagement and health promotion efforts in tribal communities. She also serves as a board member for the Center for Native American Youth organization. We also have 3 young leaders that I will just kind of quickly give you an introduction on. Leanna Minnis, Shaquana Sebastian, Malaysia Thomas. Shaquana is a proud member of the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Nation. She is the Administrative Assistant for Tribal Council Secretary Matt Pearson. She is the Mashantucket Pequot Youth Council Chairwoman. Malaysia Thomas is a proud member of the Pequot and Narragansett. She is enrolled in the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Nation. She is 20 years old and an upcoming senior at the University of Rhode Island, where she is studying history and political science. Leanna, Project Director of the High Five Project, which is a youth development grant that focuses on academic and culture, life skills, career development, emotional and social physical wellness. She is the Vice Chairman of the Mashantucket Pequot Youth Council. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, introduction to the mental health field, and she is currently getting her master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. Wow, awesome. We have a great lineup for you all today, and we will now be going over today's learning objectives. We really wanted to give you some insight on social media, youth engagement and empowerment from a community level, but also a national level. So our learning objectives are increase awareness of national level resources and opportunities for Native youth, learn from tribal young leaders about the development of a tribal youth council, share culturally relevant practices to empower Native youth through social media, learn best practices from the Tribal Youth Council about social media engagement in tribal communities. All right, so as I said, we will be having a look at a national scope youth engagement in social media, and then we will be actually speaking with some of our youth leadership. So now I am going to be turning it over to Josie, who will be going over youth engagement in social media from a national scope. So Josie, if there is nothing else, you can take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Chanel, and thank you to the team from Kaufman and Associates for inviting me to be a part of today's webinar. I also really appreciate the opening blessing from John Bird. It was a very special song for him to share with, and I feel like we're off to a good start. So again, my name is Josie Rafaelito, and I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation from Raymond, Navajo in New Mexico. And I'm joining today's webinar to offer some insights and lessons learned and also resources available to Native youth from a national perspective. And along the way, highlighting some key areas of, how we've used social media to engage Native youth in national efforts. So, to kind of get to how to engage youth, I think that, it always is helpful to, take a step back and look at the reasons why we do the work that we do. I came to this work, from, growing up in my own community and then moving to Washington, D.C. for grad school and learning about, the numerous challenges and barriers and disparities that our communities face in terms of health and wellness. And I thought that I really want to be a part of, the other leaders and community members who are, working hard to make a difference in the lives of Native youth. So, we have all learned about the high rates of Native youth suicide, of the attempts that are being made, the high arrest rates in our communities, and the disproportionate statistics when looking at Native students who are being suspended or expelled from school. These are all very important issues to be aware of in addressing suicide and really looking at prevention from a holistic approach. And then, the challenges faced by youth extend into low rates of high school completion and even higher representation in the foster care system when compared to the general population. These are the issues we as community leaders and experts work on day in and day out, and so I think that it's important to recognize those challenges and be thankful to everyone who's committed to addressing these issues in our communities. But, all this hard work would not be possible without taking moments to recognize the resiliency of our people and especially our youth. There are many positive things happening in our communities, and we need to be mindful that we have a balanced narrative when we're describing our communities and sharing stories. And, going back to, the tool of that social media it's really important to share that balanced message when we're using social media platforms. So, I think that, it's important to identify the areas in need of support as well as areas in need of celebration. And our young people need to be part of changing that narrative and being involved in the work that we do. So I'm going to go ahead and share some examples and perspectives that I've learned along the way with other important leaders addressing health and wellness in Indian country. All right, but first we're going to go ahead and pull up a question for folks on the phone and online. The question is, based on the 2010 census, what is the number of Native American youth under the age of 24? You have a couple of guesses there to make. We'll go ahead and wait a few minutes while people respond. All right, we're looking for the number of Native American youth under the age of 24. All right, got some good numbers coming in. Thank you for participating. And just a helpful way to gauge people's thoughts on, different conversation starters we have throughout the presentation. All right. So if, Mark, you're okay, we can go ahead and close the poll. We had the top guess being 1.1 million, followed by 2.1 and 567,000 and 574,000. But if we want to go ahead and head back to our slides. All right. The correct answer is 2.1 million American Indian Alaska Native youth under the age of 24, which is a very large number. And that means that there is a growing number of young people who are getting involved in their communities, cultures, and traditions. Now they have, they are becoming leaders and participating in their local youth councils. At last count, the United National Indian Tribal Youth Organization, also known as UNITY, counted 222 affiliated youth councils across the country. In 2014, President Obama and Michelle Obama challenged Native youth to take positive action in their communities and share their stories with the White House and the rest of the nation. This movement is called Generation Indigenous, or Gen I, and it's still thriving today, and we'll share a little bit more about that in the presentation. But from that specific initiative, there are over 300,000 Gen I challenge takers who engaged in community efforts across Indian country. Now, this all, sharing some quick numbers, some quick stats. This is just telling the story that our young leaders are utilizing opportunities to help them develop their voice and perspectives to become better advocates, better leaders, community experts, policymakers, and change agents. So there's a lot of potential and so much hope for our futures, and that's part of what needs to be, part of our conversations, talking about youth engagement. So another poll question for you. Just want to see from those who are tuned in, how many of you have a youth council that you're aware of in your community? Click yes or no. No vote, maybe if you're unsure. Just want to get a sense from folks of who knows that there's a youth council active and working in their communities. Just give you a few minutes to respond. Give you a couple more seconds. Okay. So it looks like we have about 61.7% of folks on the call saying that yes, they do have a Native Youth Council, and the remainder, 38.2 or so, say that they do not. So this is really helpful, I think, just in today's conversation of, as we're talking about engaging youth, this is a really good resource in the community to begin conversations. But for those of you who don't have a youth council, just know that within the Native Connections network, there are those that are working with youth councils. We're going to hear from more in today's presentation. But it's a chance to learn from one another and sharing resources, including the development and engagement of Native Youth Councils. So thank you for those who participated. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the slide deck. All right. Well, you know, it's those numbers and those stories, both the challenges, but also the stories of hope that really, you know, bring people together, I think, in this field of health and wellness in Indian country. And so, you know, I entered into the youth engagement field in 2011 by working with and for the Center for Native American Youth, which is a national advocacy organization located in DC. So, you know, the organization works to improve the health, safety, and overall well-being of Native youth. And, you know, the heart of the work there is suicide prevention. But again, back to our earlier conversation, that it's very much from a holistic approach and looking at education, juvenile justice issues, child welfare, and everything else that goes on to create our communities at home. So I wanted to make sure that I highlighted this organization as a key resource for folks tuning in. CNAY offers a full range of online resources for youth and parents and tribal programs and staff. They also offer technical assistance, so they enjoy being called at their offices and, you know, starting relationships and sharing ideas and resources and tips on a range of different issues related to Native youth. But, you know, they're also about creating new opportunities for youth, partnering with new folks and companies and organizations to extend opportunities to make sure that they are reaching our young people. But then, of course, at the end of the day, they're really part of, I think, this larger conversation that's happening across the country of elevating stories of success. So again, really helping to change that narrative of our communities, especially when it comes to engaging Native youth and using social media. So I just want to share a quick evolution of engaging Native youth at the Center for Native American Youth. You know, when the organization launched in 2011, you know, I was on staff at that point, and we had the opportunity to serve as a platform to educate and engage policy and decision makers who didn't understand the strengths and the challenges facing youth. It's really, you know, serving as a space for people to learn and to ask questions. And so in order to be effective advocates and trusted partners, we knew that we needed to build relationships in tribal and urban Indian communities, especially with youth. So our outreach began with roundtable discussions with Native youth to hear about the realities facing young people in Indian country. So it's definitely that first, you know, face-to-face interactions and introductions and building those partnerships, which, you know, above and beyond, you know, what we're discussing today in terms of using social media, creating those face-to-face moments and relationships is also incredibly valuable to our work engaging youth. I just want to make sure we plug that in. But with strong partnerships came opportunities to elevate youth voices into national discussions on issues impacting their communities. So we were supporting young leaders serving as advocates for Indian country at the Center for Native American Youth. So we, you know, had created this really strong base of young leaders involved in our work, but, you know, we wanted to reach more youth and share more opportunities of leadership development resources. So we began organizing a weekly email or a listserv called Native Opportunities Weekly. This listserv still exists from the Center for Native American Youth. It's a quick sign up on their website, and each week you receive an email about an opportunity for young people, whether it's scholarships, internships, jobs, whatever it might be, just as another way to continue to keep that information flowing out to communities. And if this isn't, you know, we decided that we wanted to take it to the next step and make sure we're promoting these opportunities and resources as much as possible, that we began to turn to social media to share these resources and use it as a platform to start discussions and pose questions and take quick surveys. And so, you know, we heard from Native youth, you know, the social media platforms they're using most, and obviously it's definitely evolving. But the key ones that we've zoned in on are Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and most recently Snapchat. So again, the CNAY team now uses all of these platforms on a daily basis to share updates, resources, and tools, and again, to initiate discussions. So it's been an evolution of, direct outreach, which still happens today, but also maintaining conversations and relationships online using social media. And so, we began to grow this national network of Native youth, of young leaders who wanted to get involved and to do something. And so, as previously mentioned, Generation Indigenous, or Gen I, was a big lead from the White House administration with the Obamas. And, they really wanted to use social media as a way to engage Native youth and get them involved in a call for action. So I think that's a really fun way to use social media, is not to just share resources and opportunities, but also invite young people to get involved, actively involved. And so it was a very simple challenge, asking youth to do something positive in their communities, whether it was picking up trash, organizing an event, presenting to a non-Native group about their communities, whatever it might be, and then to share that story online with the Center for Native American Youth and partners. And so it was a simple call to action, and there were thousands, more than 3,000 people who took that challenge. And there are now hundreds of ambassadors who have stepped up and said, I took the challenge and I want to take it a step further and be an advocate and a champion for Generation Indigenous. And so on the slide, you'll see a quick cutout of a map that is available at the cnay.org website, where you can actually zoom in and click on any one of these stars or boxes to see the Native youth who took a challenge and have selected on their own, what issues they're passionate about and what they're working on, which I think is a really helpful tool for anyone who's working on issues related to Native youth, whether it's to see what issues are popping up across the country, or if you're looking for a young leader in your state, in your region, focused on issue X, Y, or Z, this is a tool that you can go to kind of do that initial scan and search. And then you reach out to CNAY staff to find out how to get them involved. So I think that's a really helpful tool, and again, a really great example of how, social media and a challenge to do something active really created this national movement of what Gen I is today. So I've done my best to try and describe what Gen I is, but I think there's a short video. We're going to play a small clip of it that gives you a quick intro to what Gen I is and give you.
So Michelle and I traveled to their reservation in North Dakota. Sat down with a group of Lakota young adults. There was no press, no teachers, no parents, it was just us. And they talked about their families and their friends and their dreams of the future, but they also talked about the pain in their hearts and the problems they had seen with loved ones who had been brought down by drugs or alcohol or violence or poverty. And there were tears in that room pretty much the entire conversation. We want to give those young people and young Native Americans like them the support they deserve. We're creating a national network called Generations Indigenous to remove the barriers that stand between young people and opportunity.
I am Gen I.
We are Gen I.
I am Generation Indigenous.
We are Gen I.
Gen I is a movement. You understand? It's about tribal youth from across this continent embracing your heritage.
There's more than 566, so no matter which tribe we come from, we all have a voice and we are all still here.
To mobilize youth into action, the White House initiated the Native Youth Challenge. Participants were given 30 days to do something good for the community, document it, and then share it with their peers.
They have worked on homelessness issues. They've worked on drug and alcohol addiction. They've worked on how to honor and support their culture and heritage. And they're between 14 and 24 years old.
In fact, when we launched our Gen I Native Youth Challenge, we were inundated with 1,500 submissions. They were doing everything they could to lift themselves up.
A lot of my cousins and my friends who were Native maybe weren't doing the best in school. NERDS is a peer-to-peer mentoring and tutoring program. Native education, raising dedicated students. We try to focus on improving the grades of Native American students.
Sometimes you just need people to step up and make a change. On our reservation, the suicide rate is high. I started a campaign for hope to try and prevent suicide from happening on our reservation. I just didn't want no one to feel how like me and my family felt when we lost my close cousin to suicide.
My big goal in life is to become a Dakota language teacher, so then I can bring back the language, because too many times we don't see our own faces as teachers.
The White House hosted a tribal youth gathering, inviting the brightest stars of the Generation Indigenous program to share their thoughts with federal officials and create a dialogue amongst themselves.
I want you to help teach your government how we can do a better job for you.
What's the one thing you think worked the least?
A big issue I see would be IHS.
All the women over the age of 18, I think 50% of the women have been sexually assaulted.
The department was very much involved in the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act.
There were, I think, about 10 breakout sessions for the day. We had emerging young leaders, we had cultural preservation, financial literacy. There were different federal officials in there, and I had the honor of moderating the education breakout session.
Everybody here is here for a reason.
So many people flooded the stage, and it was so much energy, and we had a really good time. So when I had the opportunity to talk with some of the participants, many of them, they felt inspired that someone could get that much exposure through something like MTV, because in their minds, they didn't believe that it was possible.
I can't even describe to you the trauma that we're born with. You can't know unless you live it. It took me stepping out of that and finding my own voice and my own power through my music to realize that my story means something.
Singing is the only thing that I love to do. It was my outlet, and how many other people can say music is their outlet? You all have something to offer.
I am a valuable Indigenous woman.
America and all of the world is going to see these young kids saving the earth.
Protecting something that I love, this is what I'm born to do.
We need everybody. Not one person can do it alone. I can't do it alone. The young people need to get on board, and we need our voices to come together as one.
You were the generation who started it all. Gen I. You were the generation that drew strength from your history and wrote a new story of Indian country. And as you move forward in your journey, I want you to remember that you are never alone.
Obama administration was very much behind the development and amplification of Gen I, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist today. So, you know, it truly is a movement that many Native youth still identify with and understand, and it's still a brand that's being utilized by key partners, including CNAY, Native Americans in Philanthropy, among others. So I think the best place to be able to find up-to-date information about Gen I is at the Center for Native American Youth website. You know, I mentioned that they house the interactive map showcasing the Gen I Youth Ambassadors. You can find that on their website. They're also, they've created new fellowship opportunities for Native youth to apply to and participate in. They have the Movement Builders Fellowship, which is a 6-month program for young Native American leaders working towards social justice. They also have the Career Success Fellowship, which is aimed at building career opportunities for Indigenous youth through online skill building, leadership development trainings, and different connections with employers. Another example is from this past spring, where Gen I promoted the Creative Native Initiative which was a question to Native youth to ask them to share what Gen I means to them today, but using their artistic talents to do that. So drawing, painting, eating, whatever they wanted to use, and submit that. And so that's a campaign that has closed since this past spring, but they're going to be showcasing some of that artwork in the upcoming year, which is beautiful. And then, of course, a couple other examples of in-person meetings. There's an annual summer reception that happens in DC, bringing hundreds of Native student interns and fellows who are in the DC area to network and meet with young Native professionals who are in DC permanently or for their work. And then another example is Native youth in the DC area being able to participate in career training to better understand what it's like to have a job on Capitol Hill. So, Generation Indigenous, Gen I, is still on the move and still something that, CNAY would invite anyone on the phone and in your communities to get involved in. And again, a lot of this information is being shared online through CNAY and through the social media platforms. So another good resource that I wanted to point out with CNAY is the Resource Exchange page. And so, this is kind of a first go-to, a one-stop shop to search for different resources related to Native youth. So if you're a young person looking for a scholarship, looking for a summer program, or just maybe it's how to build a youth council, those resources are available on their website. If you are searching for it and don't find it, of course you can reach out to their staff. Or if you have a resource to share, that's another place where you can submit that online. So it's an ever-evolving resource platform, and it's only going to be as powerful and helpful as it is that people use it and contribute to. I think I mentioned this earlier, but the Gen I Now, the Native Opportunities Weekly email, is something you can easily sign up for on their website. But again, I think the most up-to-date information and resources and opportunities that are being shared is definitely through the social media platforms. So you can take a look at the Center for Native American Youth Facebook page, the Center #4 Native Twitter handle, and Instagram and Snapchat handles. Those are all the places to kind of take a look and see. Maybe it's looking for examples of how organizations are communicating resources and opportunities to engage. So really a lot, their staff is incredible. They're always willing to offer support and technical assistance to organizations who want to learn more about how to meaningfully engage Native youth in their work. I think that's the key word and something that we'll be able to hear a little bit more from our young leader presenters today about what that actually means. So I will take a look at this, the CNAY website. The Resource Hub link is there and at the bottom of the slide, and would be happy to chat with folks afterwards if there are questions or things to clarify. But I think, to kind of jumpstart our next presenters, we just want to get a feel for folks on the line. So we have another poll for you and asking, for those who have an active Native Youth Council, please share how the council is engaged in your Native Connections programming. So for the 61.7% who said yes, they have a youth council in their communities, just share a little bit with us, maybe in the comments box, about how the council is engaged in your Native Connections programming. You can just jot down ideas as they come up, or as you remember things, and I'm sure we'll come back to this throughout our discussion to kind of get a better sense of how people are engaging young leaders in your communities. All right. But that was, just a different perspective from some national work that's being done. But of course, this work wouldn't be possible without young leaders who are stepping into these roles of action, of organizing. And so I think we're all just very, very lucky to be able to invite our young leaders to present on their work and share even more examples of how to use social media as a tool to positively impact our communities.
Thank you so much, Josie. That was absolutely wonderful. Hearing you share your insights from a national lens is just absolutely wonderful. And how great is it? I just kept thinking, how great is it that we really do have somebody like you, yourself, Josie, really in there working hard to kind of enhance youth engagement on that national level. So just kudos to you and my hats off to you, and I'm really excited that you were able to share that information to these webinar participants. So thanks again, and I think we will now go ahead and roll into our community level scope with our Native youth leaders we have here and get their perspective and their insight. So we have, again, Malaysia, Shaquana, and Leanna. And if there's anything you ladies would like to share about yourselves that I didn't cover in the beginning intro, please feel free to do so now.
Hi, it's Leanna. I'm the Vice Chairwoman of the Mashantucket Pequot Youth Council.
Hi, my name is Shaquana Sebastian. I'm the Chairwoman of the MPTN Youth Council. And I'm also going to school for business marketing at Three Rivers. I forgot to put that.
The touch release, Malaysia Thomas. My name is Malaysia Thomas. I think you pretty much covered everything, so thank you.
Great. All right, well, thank you, ladies. We are actually going to go ahead and go right into a couple of questions, I believe. So we wanted to really gather some information just in terms of youth council development and the background. So I wanted to pose these questions to you ladies. So who recognized the need for a tribal youth council, and really kind of talk about why the youth council was revitalized, and then just kind of give some insight on the mission and vision of this.
So the people that actually recognized the need for youth council was the youth. A group of us were always coming together, and we had ideas of events and just things that we noticed around in the community. So myself, along with Shaquana and our other advisor, Nakai Northup, pretty much just got a bunch of youth together every day after school. In the summer, we reached out to adults that we would reach to just for help and to guide us through planning events and stuff like that. So yeah, it was the youth. And that was around in 2013 we started doing this before we became the official youth council that we are today. We noticed that there was a need for the youth to have a voice, and there was really no one for us to reach out to for youth opportunities or just youth events and youth scholarships, so we thought that we could be that base and that voice for people.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Did you want to touch a little bit on the, I guess we can go into mission and vision here a little bit later. So we have a photo, I believe, of your youth council. Do you guys want to kind of share, on the next slide here, do you guys want to share a little bit about what this picture kind of stands for, who's in the photo? If we can get it there. Next slide. There we go.
Okay, so this is Shaquana speaking. Wuyeekeesuk, we are the MPTN Youth Council, and that means welcome or come in a good way. So starting from the left, we have our male advisor, Nakai Northup, and then we have our ambassador, the next one, and then that's me, Shaquana, and we have our secretary, Lynette Hernandez. We have our vice chairwoman, Leanna Minnis. Next to her is our female advisor, Malaysia Thomas, and then next to her is Philip Thomas, and he is our treasurer. So this is our inauguration from January 2018, and it's the first year that we've been actually recognized to be on stage while our tribal council and elder council had been inaugurated. And we also, this was very big for us because we had gotten a resolution passed to be recognized as an official council in our tribe. So that was really great.
Thank you. That is absolutely wonderful. What a great moment here for you guys in this picture. How wonderful to see that. So I think we're going to go on to discuss a little bit about your mission, so the mission statement. So if you could kind of just really go over this for the group and maybe express how you got here. How did this mission statement come to be?
So this is Leanna Menace speaking. So when Shaquana, Malaysia, and other members of the community came together to revitalize the Youth Council, they started working on like our constitution, our mission statement, our vision statement, things that we wanted to accomplish in the community. So on the screen you see this is our mission statement that we came up with. But the main thing about our mission statement is that we are the voice for our youth. We want to be the people that our youth come to, and that we can share their ideas, their concerns, their problems, things like that. Because at the end of the day, they're our future leaders, and so this is basically about helping mold them to be future leaders.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for that insight. I really appreciate that. Sounds like you guys are really passionate about this and really took some time and put a lot of thought into what this mission statement can evolve to and really what was needed out of your youth council. So, okay, I believe we are going to go ahead and jump into a couple of more questions here. So, since we are discussing in terms of the Youth Council and the impact of social media, we wanted to dig a little bit deeper here and see if you could talk to us a little bit about the main focus of the MPTN Youth Council. So what are some of your guys' key priorities for this Youth Council? And then also, after that, we can kind of dive into just your observation of positive community change. Has there been positive community change since your guys' Youth Council has been active, and then are young voices better represented now, in your opinion?
So this is Shaquana talking. Our key priorities, since this is basically our first year getting together, so we are focusing on just getting hands-on with the community and also the kids and letting them know that we're here and building like relationships with them. So that's been a big thing, just to get us out in the community and have people come to us. It has been it's been very effective. Kids, even adults come with us when they want to work on stuff with the community, just to see like what the past events that we've done. And then we also do like a there's a work program. And on Thursday we've been teaching them like the core values of working, and it's been like very successful.
We also, it says our young voices better represented now, and I believe that yes, it has been. Our tribal council reaches out to us for almost every event that goes on. They have us go up there and represent. Grants like Good Medicine, of course, come to us and allow us to be on their advisory board, which is amazing, which has really never been done before. People hadn't really reached out to the youth or let them be represented on boards and such. So I think that we are really making improvement and really getting out there.
Why do you, just to kind of touch on that, why do you guys think that is? Why do you think that they're more apt to reach out to you now and listen to your voice and really look to you guys for some insight and feedback on maybe community activities or what is needed? Why do you think that is?
I think just them seeing what we have accomplished so far, and our minds are different and fresh and new, and we're definitely dedicated. And have the younger kids seeing us involved, teenagers, they kind of lose that view of, oh, that's just silly, that's funny, that's boring. They start to see, okay, wow, like my big cousins are doing this, this is cool. Like, it's something that they can enjoy and that we could do together.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Okay, I think next we're going to go into Liana sharing focus and goals.
Yeah. So some of our goals that are listed on here and our focuses are basically just getting the youth together. So we've been trying to host like as many events and just participating in other departments' events. Later in the slides, like there's an event that we participated in and helped for Good Medicine, the grantee that's part of Native Connections. So basically just trying to get out there and show that, you know, the youth are a part of this community. We can help. We can have these type of events and other things. And then just helping the youth as far as, you know, they come to us when they have concerns or anything like that. So we're able to help be the voice for them.
Awesome. I love that. You guys are definitely setting the standard of just bonding with your youth, especially when they feel that they can trust you and come to you for any questions or to share anything out. So that is absolutely great. And I just kudos to you guys for really pushing this forward and setting an example to your youth in your community. I believe we're going to go into some questions here, and we're going to discuss challenges and accomplishments. So if applicable, discuss any challenges that the MPTN Youth Council have faced throughout this development. So really kind of think about if it was difficult to get young leaders involved, and I would also pose why do you think it was so difficult to get young leaders involved? And then from your own individual perspectives, what are the biggest successes and accomplishments? So what are your guys' big wins that you see from your youth council since the development?
So to start off with the challenges, was it difficult to get young leaders involved? Yes, it was, but there were all different types of reasons for that. One of them is the distance between our youth. Not everybody lives on a reservation. We have a limited number of houses here on the reservation. So there's a lot of people in nearby towns and states. We have family all across the country. So getting them here and having them involved in everything we do is pretty difficult. But we've learned to work with that, and we learned like good times of the year where we can get the most people out. And then just people being interested in like just being able to participate. Every kid goes through that phase where they just, something is just too cool or they think it's boring and stuff like that. But I think since like 2013 that kind of view or that opinion has totally went out the window, and everybody's like trying to be involved. So we've learned to do things that appeal to the kids, stuff that's fun and wants them to be interactive, because we realized sitting through meetings and stuff isn't really what they want to do. Any other challenges?
What were some of the things that you guys did to get them involved? I know you said some fun stuff. What does that entail?
So to get them involved, sometimes incentives is a really cool thing. So we do games for our Youth Challenge Day, for example. There's always a prize or something, whether it's a gift card, whether it's a gift from a tribal elder of sorts. We do, if we do meetings or something in one day, we also end with some type of activity.
Great. Okay, so very interactive meeting session. So maybe it doesn't so much feel like it's structured. You're really engaging. So that's wonderful. So what are some of your guys' big wins? What are your biggest successes and accomplishments so far to date?
Well, this past year, I think we'd have most of our accomplishments. As you've seen before, we were at the inauguration with our tribal council as well as council. We also have been recognized by Unity this year. It was our first year attending the Unity conference, so we're officially affiliated with them. We are also in the works of helping get a summer food program here on the reservation for our kids to help them get free summer lunches and breakfast, which coincides with our initiatives to get healthier foods here for the kids and just to make sure that every kid is eating here on the reservation. We
also, too, this past year we had like our first like official like youth membership meeting, which was really great because a lot of youth came out and shared a lot of things, and we kind of left it like kind of like just like a talking circle style instead of like our regular tribal membership meetings. So it was really great to have like a lot of youth come out and just like voice like their opinions on different things. So it was like our first official one, and we've been having them ever since. So it's really good for the kids because they feel like they're able to come and just like share things or help us plan things as well.
Great. Thank you for sharing. You guys are definitely some change makers, movers and shakers. I love it. So next we're going to discuss engagement through social media. We have a couple of questions posed here for you guys. How has social media promoted participation engagement in the MPTN Youth Council? How do you use social media for youth council efforts? And can you guys share tips and best practices just regarding the use of social media in the community?
So how has social media promoted participation engagement in the Youth Council? So we have a Facebook, and that's what we seem to have more of a success on, because we also have parents on there as well. So we have our own page, and we post our events, other people's events, like the Good Medicine Project. They have really great events. And so we just interact with them, just keep it like social. We just keep it going. So we make sure we post like a lot, not too much like to really overdo it, but just like simple stuff. And then we just keep it fun. And some tips that we would say is just not to make it like all serious, because people are really on social media to just look for entertainment. So we post our events, and then a lot of people they like to post on our wall and talk to us and just have like a casual conversation here and there. So that's really fun. And then also some people give us like feedback on from our past events that we've had, and it's just been really fun. We try to keep it like active and exciting.
Great. Well, you actually kind of led us into our next slide, I believe, which was the tips for using social media, and you shared a lot of that there. Did you want to add anything on this slide, or?
Just really like interacting back with people, like if they have questions, or just like even that little comment like the Hey Youth Council. A lot of us all commented back, and they just like to see people come and comment on like how good we're doing is really great, and that makes more people come into like the group as well. So getting people to share like that we're on Facebook and stuff like that really helps too. So once you're active and they know, and they're like, hey, like, yeah, go on Youth Council, because they are active and they always respond to us, and yeah.
And videos are great too. It says post a lot of pictures, but I think videos are really key too, because, you know, for the people that can't make it to our events sometimes because of like conflicting schedules or whatever it is, if they see a video from an event and they see like, oh my god, like the kids had so much fun or things like that, then it makes them willing like the next time to be like, oh, I have to be there, like I have to go to the next event or something like that. So I think videos are important as well, so that way they can see kind of like the live version of whatever is going on. And on Facebook too, we've actually posted like, because they have the Facebook Live, we've posted live like at certain events, so that way people like in real time can see what is going on at our event, and they can stop by or come by.
Another big thing to do is always give out your social media at different events. When we went to Unities, our biggest thing was giving out our Facebooks and our Facebook group, and allowing other tribal youth from other tribes and even their tribal leaders to be in our Facebook group, because then it keeps on, we have the information about what's going on their reservation, what's going on in ours, and it allows our youth to connect with each other.
Great, thank you. So next, would you like to add any additional tips for effective youth councils in our next slide here, or?
So to have an effective youth council, you really do have to take the time to interact and engage with them, and I think the elders of the community and the adults of the community should take their time to get involved and to check up with their youth council. Another thing I want to point out is if you do not have a youth council, it would be a great idea to form one. or form a designated youth group for the grant that you can just always go to whenever you need help. Allow them in on your advisory board meetings, on your community meetings. That way they know your face and you have a group of kids that can go out there in the community for you. That is the biggest key.
And also, I think it's very key to meet the youth where they are. So if your community has like an after-school program, going to the after-school program and just being able to say like, hey, we're the so-and-so project. These are the things that we're going over. And just putting yourself in the community more with the youth. So if your community has a school, going to the school and engaging those kids that are I think 12 to 16 is the grantee age, just so that way, you know, they're seeing your face. And then from there, you know, if they're seeing you enough and they're going to your events, then you can kind of build that relationship where if you have some type of event or something going on, you can say, hey, so-and-so, can you post this on your Instagram, this flyer, so that way more kids can come and attend. And they will. They'll be more likely to because they've gotten to know you and they see your face all the time. So I think it's really key to meet the community where they are. So wherever your kids are, like, go see them and just letting them know, like, I'm so-and-so, and getting your name out there. I think that's great.
All right, thank you. So next up, I think we have Liana here, just to kind of share examples of youth empowerment events.
So this event was actually hosted by the Good Medicine Project. It's the 10th annual Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. So Youth Council had actually always participated in the event. We've always had a booth at the event, even before Good Medicine had taken it over. So when it came time for Good Medicine to have it, of course they invited us to help, plan and do an activity with the kids. And since we're, on the board for Good Medicine, we thought it was very important to do an activity on bullying because, suicide and bullying are very linked. So we thought it would be great to do an activity that embodied not only their project, but something that we can talk to the kids about as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Liana. I appreciate it. And so next we have Malaysia to kind of share some of their bullets on cultural events.
It's me again, Liana. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, it's fine. So this was our 2018 Spring Cultural Exchange. And we've had a lot of Eastern tribes that were able to attend this event. And so basically, we not only are we trying to serve our youth, our youth in our community, but we want them to be able to get to know the youth around us as well from other communities. We notice a lot of the other tribes, we all face the same problems. So being able to come together and talk about whatever problems, but still just being able to get to know one another was really great. And I think that this was a great event and that we hope to have more of these.
During these events, we do share different traditions and beadwork and all that stuff from our tribe. So we did something, we did games and stuff that bring our kids together. We did the game Res Life, if you guys ever heard of that. It's a fun game to play with the kids. And we also did, for our gifts that we give to people that come and visit our tribe, we did this gift together. So we made, we beaded bracelets together, which was really cool because we got to bring them home and we got to do them together as a group. And it just increases that relationship that we have with our sister tribes.
Great, thank you so much for that. I think lastly we have a wrap up here.
So Katapatiamu, thank you to all who've gave us the opportunity to be here and to speak to you guys about our youth council and how to get our youth council, your youth council or your youth involved with your grant and in your community. And anybody have any questions or something, we'll be willing to do that. And just thank you for keeping the tribal youth the center of your work and just focusing on the tribal youth and not forgetting about us and just realizing that we are next. So the best people you could talk to and the best people that we can learn from is you guys. So thank you for that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you and applaud you for taking the time to share with us some of your insights and share with us some creative ways to engage youth and community members by way of social media. So here we have tips for a good social media post: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, creating images, be brief but purposeful, use photos and videos, and you can download the PowerPoint to go over this further and to kind of go over it in depth. I encourage you all to take some time to look at this and to really dive into it and see how you guys can enhance your social media outlets and outreach. All right, I believe that wraps us up. If you have any questions for today's panelists, please raise your hand or type your questions in the chat box, please. Does anybody have any insight they want to share, or maybe some aha moments they took away from the discussion of our youth and from Josie?
So now there is a question that we have from Derek McCauley. His question is, how many youth members does everyone serve? And I believe this was geared toward our youth panelists.
Hi, so I'm going to actually answer two questions because I just saw another one pop up, and what age range that we're working with. So for our youth council, we serve ages 14 to 24, and we have about 100 youth like that, that we kind of like talk to and engage with, but not all of them are, you know, as active as others.
We have about maybe a little bit under 300 kids that are between the ages of 14 through 24. So, yeah.
And this is Josie just chiming back in. And I can, you know, the Center for Native American Youth is a national organization, so that 2.1 million that we talked about earlier, that's kind of the youth who we focus on, and those are ages 24 and under. But CNAY does have a youth advisory board that directly contributes to the work and development of their programming. There's 15 members on that board.
In addition to that, if you do have some questions, we will be sure to note this, and we can definitely follow up as well individually with virtual responses and contact info for further discussion as well if you have to get off the call of the webinar. We do have one more question quickly that we can take. It's noted, how many local schools and youth centers are in your area?
So our tribe is in the Ledyard School District. So Ledyard itself has about 5 schools, only 1 high school and 1 middle school, and the rest are elementary schools. But we are surrounded by a lot of other towns, such as like Groton. So we're in a good community. We're kind of far off in the woods, but there are some cities located near us. As far as youth centers in our areas, but we do have our own community center here in Mashantucket. So that's where we base a lot of our stuff out of. Ledyard also has like a Parks and Recs program, but mostly we just work between our own and our own reservation.
All right, thank you panelists for answering those questions. Like I said, if we have any more follow-up, I will be sure to note it down to send individually. Thank you so much for your time. To that, we also have our presenters' contact information here.